Knowledge is power, financial freedom the key, and the insider's edge priceless. You're listening to the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, the insider's edge on KLAV 1230 AM radio, the talk of Las Vegas. Now live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Lianna Alvarez.
Welcome, Las Vegas, to the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, the Insider's Edge. And I'm your host, Lianna Alvarez. The most important hour of radio every Sunday on KLAV 1230 AM radio, the talk of Las Vegas. Thank you for joining me. The Real Estate Radio Network is a national network of local real estate professionals dedicated to delivering timely, balanced truths about local market conditions in an effort to help Americans maintain good credit, minimize debt, and achieve the dream of homeownership. The Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, the Insider's Edge, is a show dedicated to rebuilding Las Vegas's credit and housing markets. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice. That's my message, and I will be delivering it to you every Sunday at 2 p.m. right here on KLAV 1230 AM radio, the talk of Las Vegas. And I want to remind you that if you ever have any real estate or credit-related questions, you can call me anytime off air, and I will personally assist you. You can reach me here at 702-497-3730. Again, that's 702-497-3730. And today we have a very special guest with us. We have Quintero, who's the CEO and founder of the Real Estate Radio Network. Welcome, Ron.
Thank you very much for having me, and I'm really jazzed to be here. I'm so excited about you launching your show.
Thank you.
And integrating it into your practice, which, what is your day job? What do you do during Monday through Friday and probably on weekends too? What you're hosting a radio show about real estate. Okay.
Yes.
What gives you permission to do that?
Well, I am a full-time realtor here in Las Vegas. I'm a native and I'm a local. Yes, we'd like to say
now,
that it's a 5-day.
Wait a second. I'm going to cut you off for a second because you're not a true native. You're a transplanted native because you're born in where?
Busted. I was born in Mexico City.
By the way, I can't believe you just got engaged.
Yes, I did.
Right?
Yes.
I can't believe you were still on the market. This blonde hair, blue-eyed Latin girl. I mean, just a beautiful, attractive woman.
Thank you.
And I had the opportunity to meet your fiancé last night.
Yes, you did.
Congratulations.
Thank
we'll talk
you.
more about him in just a little bit.
Right.
But talk more about your experience as it relates to real estate. What gives you permission to be a talk show host regarding real estate-related matters?
Right. Well, okay, so I got into the real estate industry at the very bottom of the market. I, like many of you that are listening, was one of those individuals that had a corporate job earning a very nice salary. And when the economy crashed in 2008, the company went under. And I was sitting there stuck, trying to go after different employment opportunities with, over 10 years of management and experience. And there was nothing out there. And a friend of mine at the time, because I was from here, suggested I should get into real estate.
So not only was the housing market bad at the time, but the economy was bad. Companies were not hiring, and you couldn't find a replacement opportunity.
Right.
See, I'm just the opposite. I got into real estate because I couldn't get that corporate job that you had.
Oh, okay.
Nobody had hired me.
So we're like the flip-flop experience.
Absolutely, we are.
Okay. Yeah, so it just, being out there just wasn't much available, and obviously not being married, not being engaged, I had a single income, so I had to figure things out fast. I had a mortgage payment, and so it was suggested to me to get into real estate. And
you know what? You sound like a lot of your story. You were right on the same edge as a lot of the homeowners out here in Las Vegas that were losing their property values, all of a sudden catching up to their mortgages and then their values being less than their mortgage, so all of a sudden they're upside down.
Exactly.
So you were kind of like right on that same edge as a lot of the homeowners that had to deal with some issues.
Right. I was exactly one of those clients that I tend to help so frequently. So that being said, I got into real estate and I really was awakened to what was out there for real estate agents and for clientele, and needed to, offer those customer services that they weren't getting from other individuals. And just as a reminder, if you're just tuning in, we're listening to the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge, here at KLAV 1230 AM Radio, The Talk. And I'm your host, Lianna Alvarez. We're here joined with Quintero from the Real Estate Radio Network. And we're just kind of discussing my background and basis for this real estate show and the launch.
Let's transition a little bit here. I know enough about the Las Vegas marketplace to know that, we launched the Real Estate Radio Network in 2009, just, in the bowels of the foreclosure marketplace. Late 2006, beginning of 2007 is when the market kind of hit the brakes and then all of a sudden started going down, 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 down. And every night when you turn on the evening news, it was, the headlines were, foreclosures are up and prices are down.
Right.
And everybody in real estate was walking around, two black eyes given to us by the traditional media, right? All the talking heads on the evening news. And so here we are, we're trying to rebuild the market. And, we've launched over 150 radio shows.
That's a lot of shows.
In the last 5 years. And the reason we did this was we wanted to be able to create a platform where we could fight back, the big talking heads on the evening news.
Absolutely. Something positive.
Yeah. Not only that, but it seemed like every time they were reporting, they were about 6 months late.
Right.
Right.
It wasn't relative.
And it wasn't accurate. So there's a lot of consumers out there walking around with a lot of misinformation. Just like your property values went, 08 down, 09 down, 10 down, 11 down. 12 stabilized, and all of a sudden a bunch of investors started to come into your marketplace.
Right. We had a lot of hedge funds, regular investors come in with cash offers, cash buyers.
And then you end up having this 30% pricing rebound.
Yeah, an abnormally high pricing increase over a period of 12 months.
And when a consumer hears the Case-Shiller report as an example, and that properties have rebounded 30%, a lot of people think that means that their property values are back, and they're not.
Yeah.
They're not. Let's talk about what 30% means. If you own a stock at $100 a share, and that stock goes down by 50%, it's now worth $50, right?
Right.
Okay, so if stock's now worth $50, how much does that went down 50%? How much does it have to go up to get back to where it was?
Well, it's got to go up 100%.
100%, right?
Yeah.
So 30%'s a good move in the right direction.
But it's not quite there.
It's not quite there. So some people heard about a 30% appreciation factor in 1 year and think, I got my values back. That's not true. It's funny math.
Right.
A 50% drop, you need a 100% lift to get back to where you were. And so, I know that you provide a lot of advice for homeowners that are thinking about doing something with their real estate, possibly within the next 6 to 12 months.
Absolutely.
Explain to your listeners real quick, if you wouldn't mind, what is a comparative market analysis? How exactly does that work?
Right. So a comparative market analysis is where a realtor goes on and we pull real, actual live numbers from properties that are currently on the market, properties that are currently on the market that are in contract, and properties that have recently sold. It doesn't really do any good if we're looking at values that are outdated.
Yeah, and what a home's on the market for doesn't mean anything in terms of that person's value.
Right. It's dreamland. It's where a seller wants to sell their house, what price they think the property's worth. Those sold properties are really what's going to show us our true value of what's actually closed and what's going to appraise, which is also very important.
Like in San Diego, only 1 out of 3 properties put into the multiple listing service actually sell.
Wow.
So comparing a person's value to something that's on the market is not relevant. So let me ask you a question. I know that you provide this service absolutely free, and it's no strings attached. And if a person just wants to know their value,
absolutely.
I know that, you're like my daughter. She never answers her phone. You answer your phone.
I do answer your phone. That's my biggest pet peeve with other individuals.
But when you're on it, you always text me back.
And if I'm with clients, I never interrupt my client's appointment with a phone call.
I think I have more text communication with you than I do verbal.
I am pretty tech savvy.
Okay, so if a person wants to be able to get the valuation of their property, how do they contact you? And by the way, she's going to give you the phone number, her phone number, and you should save this phone number in your contacts list. Know that you have a friend in the business. Know that you have a person you could reach out to for real estate advice. So to be able to get a free comparative market analysis with no strings attached, how do they reach you?
Absolutely. Feel free to call. Text message is great as well. 702-497-3730. That's 702-497-3730. And the most important part, it's a local number. I'm here local. I'm a native. And I'm
not
here
some
for you
person
guys.
broadcasting out of Tennessee or, some other area. And it's amazing to, so much misinformation out there right now, and the consumers need timely, relevant, accurate information.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest basis is that, everybody knows a realtor. There's tons of us. What's going to be the differentiation? At least get a comparative, maybe at least 2 opinions, so that then you know that the numbers and the information you've received is accurate and one supports the other. And if not, then it's going to give you a true picture.
We're getting ready to go to break in about a minute and a half here. And I think it's important that everyone out there listening right now sticks around, because what I want to talk about when we get back is I want to talk about some of the buyer activity. Okay. I want to talk about the first-time buyers, the relocation buyers, who's driving the market. And also, I'm an empty nester and I'm a downsized buyer. I ended up selling my big home in Laguna Hills and moved into a high-rise condo in downtown San Diego. So I'm one of those people that, I'm part of the tail end of the baby boomer generation. So please stick around. We're going to go back to break in about a minute here, but we want you to stick with the show because we got some really important information to be able to share with you when we get back. So, Lianna, real quick, we got about 45 seconds here. I want to make sure that we have, the right information. What do you see? Now I'm 30 seconds.
Oh, no.
What do you see going on in the marketplace right now? Real quick, in less than 30 seconds.
Really, in the last 3 weeks, I've started to see a huge increase in activity on the buyer side and the selling side. So it's definitely started to pick back up really in the last 3 to 4 weeks.
And not as much as the hedge funds.
No, not that
forcing
much.
the home buyer out of the marketplace.
Traditional buyers. So take us a break. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a break. Again, this is Lianna Alvarez with the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge on KLAV, 1230 AM, the talk of Las Vegas.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. For more information, visit LiannaAlvarezShow.com. That's Lianna with 2 N's, AlvarezShow.com.
The Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge, is hosted by local real estate expert Lianna Alvarez. The purpose of the show is to help consumers understand what's really going on in our local real estate market and offer financial advice from top professionals. We are teaching you the why and the how-to, so you'll always be one step ahead of everyone else. Whether you need to sell your home for top dollar, refinance and save money, or even buy a bargain in Las Vegas, Lianna Alvarez can help. Call Lianna directly at 702-497-3730. That's 702-497-3730. Take advantage of speaking with Lianna anytime you're entering a real estate transaction. Having someone who can answer all of your questions that truly cares about you and your family's best interest is priceless. Call Lianna and you'll be glad you did. 702-497-3730. That's 702-497-3730. Or you can visit LiannaAlvarezShow.com for more info.
Hi, Lianna Alvarez here, host of the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge. I'm thrilled that I get to speak with you every week and bring you the truth about your local real estate market. A lot of the stuff you hear in the news is based on national numbers and really doesn't mean much to us here in Las Vegas. If you want the insider knowledge about what's going on in our real estate market, that's what I'm here for. Give me a call at 702-497-3730 or text message. That's 702-497-3730. Whether you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or even refinance your home, I can help you make an educated decision about what's going to be best for you and your family. It's easy. I give you the real facts. You decide what to do from there. Just give me a call. I'm here to help. That's 702-497-3730. Or visit us online at LiannaAlvarezShow.com. That's Lianna with 2 N's, AlvarezShow.com.
You're listening to the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, the Insider's Edge, with local expert Lianna Alvarez. Now, here's Lianna.
So welcome back. You're here with Lianna Alvarez and my wonderful guest, Ron Quintero, who's the CEO of the Real Estate Radio Network. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around for what we're going to be talking about next, which is very exciting. We just wrapped up talking about sellers and valuations. And something I really love to share is, those client stories, those personal stories that are real life experiences. And one that I can give was a client of mine a couple years ago. We looked at their property. They were being relocated for employment, and we did an evaluation, one of those comparative market analysis. And at that time, their property was still upside down. It was underwater. So at the time...
So meaning they owed more on their property than what it was worth, okay?
Exactly. And at the time, the difference wasn't that great. And my philosophy is always kind of looking out for the client's best interest. So I actually advised them not to proceed with a short sale and selling the property, but rather securing the property with the tenant so that they were getting those mortgage payments covered. And just last year, with the market increase and the values going up, we were able to turn around, go back, list that property for sale. And not only did they sell the property, they walked away with $10,000 cash from equity.
So they got part of their original down payment back.
Exactly.
That's great. That's and I love hearing that story because there's so much carnage in the market. So many people lost their life savings. So
Absolutely.
many people. There's so many harsh stories out there. And one of the things I love about that story that you just shared with your listeners is that it's a story of being strategic and also being forced with the confrontation into a short sale because, when your job says you go and the economy's not doing well, you go.
Right.
And a lot of people, there was some people taking advantage of the marketplace. You did have your people that were just walking away from their home and probably could have been making the payments and so forth. So they kind of forced the market to be worse than it had to be. You know what I'm talking about, Lianna?
Yeah, and the biggest basis is, living your life to what you want your life to be, not allowing your real estate or other aspects directing your life, and also looking at the big picture. For me, it's nice to say that it's not always about that individual sales transaction, but that bigger picture, the long-term picture and being strategic in how we can look at the real estate investment and what's going to be the best opportunity and the best outcome for the client.
There's so many people that are so judgmental. They hear a person had to file bankruptcy, a person had to, walk away from their home because they had to, or a person lost their home to foreclosure.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know this, but I do a lot of consulting with bankruptcy attorneys, and over 50% of bankruptcies out there are due to medical reasons.
Oh, those medical bills can be astronomical.
Yeah, or they become incapacitated,
Right.
They can't work, they've lost their income. So it's not even a matter of not wanting to make their payment, it's not having the ability to. So that's a great story that you just shared regarding the salvation of their property and being strategic in terms of giving them really great advice.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that was phenomenal advice. And you know what? Property values, they're going to go up and they're going to come down. They're going to go up and they're going to come down. But the ups are really big and the downs are not as much, and eventually they're going to go higher.
Right.
Real estate in the next 15 to 20 years is not going to get cheaper unless living in caves becomes chic.
Well, and the thing is with real estate, I think a lot of individuals don't realize how volatile it is. The market changes constantly, especially for us in Las Vegas. And so really, as a realtor here, we're here delivering the information and the valuation that the market and the buyers are identifying us to us, which sometimes is not always the best news, but by giving the honest truth, clients can do what is true and real for what they need to do.
Well, before we went to break, we promised the listener that we're going to go ahead and talk about buyers. But
Yes.
before we do that, I remember when you came to San Diego, wanting to understand and how to put together a radio show so you could give the timely truths to people from the southern Nevada market, right?
I wanted to have some idea of what I was doing here.
But that story that you just shared, that now it all comes together because when you're at the training, you use a term called lifers. Would you explain what you mean by the word lifer?
Absolutely. And for all my clients that are out there listening, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So basically, when I work with clients, whether they're on the buying side or on the selling side, I look at a greater philosophy. So it's not just about the real estate transaction and a sales and getting that commission check and moving on. It's always been more of a customer service background, which is kind of my corporate background.
So you're trained to not just one and done transactions like most realtors do.
Yes. No, it was always about setting up that relationship. And so I tell my clients whatever they need, they always can come to me. Obviously, I'm a local here. I grew up here. So, I have connections with a lot of people, but these are people that I trust. And so I refer to my clients as lifers. So it's not a short-term client. Once you work with me, you're stuck with me. And fortunately, my clients are always very happy to be stuck with me. I keep in touch with my clients. I have clients, a year after the transaction closes, call me because, they need an attorney referral or they need assistance with, some kind of vendor, carpet cleaner, title and escrow. Or
that's a great transition for us right now, by the way. Because when we went to break, we promised people we were going to talk about buyers. And from what I understand about the Las Vegas marketplace, the first-time buyer market is now kind of hot. I mean, the first-time buyer got pushed out of the market in the last, I'm going to say, 18 to 24 months. And you also deal with a lot of relocation people.
Absolutely. So, Las Vegas is a huge relocation city.
So, these people that are coming here, they need those referrals.
Yeah, because you come here and you think, okay, well, I have my realtor and they're going to help me, get the property. But then where do you go from there? I mean, something that seems as silly as, having your house painted or having it cleaned, or if it's a part-time home, having somebody to come and check on the property while you're gone. Those are different vendors that we have relationships with that I tell my clients, whatever you need, even if it's doctors.
So the attorney referral, as an example,
Yes.
person buys their home, and what I do in the next section, want to talk a little bit about asset protection, because most homeowners, and I mean when I say most, it's like 8 out of 10, do not have their property properly protected.
Correct.
And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. But let's talk about buyers.
Yes.
Okay. So there are several groups. The buyers used to be the hedge funds buying properties by the dozens and in some cases by the hundreds.
Right.
Right. And that pushed the little guy out because they could buy all cash and close in 5 days. And a person that's, or a bank or an organization that's holding that real estate, that's a more secure transaction when they've got an all cash buyer. It's not contingent upon the buyer getting financing.
Right. And every now and then you would have, that exception, somebody that really did care about their home going to a homeowner, but it becomes a business transaction and the seller's going to do what they feel is the strongest offer.
So these hedge funds went out and corralled a whole bunch of money and they were promising their investors a certain ROI, right?
Yep.
Return on investment. And because the market bounced up as much as it did, that's not allowing those investors to get their rate of return, right?
Correct.
So who are the buyers in the marketplace right now? You got first-time buyers. I don't know if that's big in this marketplace.
It's starting to come back. I mean, within the market we do, there are different programs for first-time home buyers. Also, and that's kind of with down payment assistance. And
you guys have down payment assistance programs
We
here?
do. We have.
Gosh, they're almost non-existent in San Diego.
Yeah, we still have down payment assistance programs. We also have owner-occupied benefits. Fannie Mae just announced that they're offering, closing costs incentives to buyers of, Fannie Mae properties, so long as the property actually qualifies. And then we still have a lot of people that are, downsizing and upsizing. So
and retiring?
Retirement, huge. We tend to get a lot of people that come from those colder weather areas. So whether Midwest, back east, or the Northwest.
And what's going on this year in the way of weather? They're going to be getting more of those, I guess.
They've been coming by the floods.
They've been getting their backside's kicked this
Yes.
year. I mean, I was flying over here to be able to do this radio show yesterday from San Diego. And I sat next to a woman from Rochester, New York. And she just said, I had to go visit my sister in San Diego just because I needed a break from this winter.
I don't know how they do it. I had clients that were here this last weekend from Minneapolis that are, purchasing a second home, a winter home here. And when they were telling me the weather and the temperature, I don't even know how they can function. It would I probably would only have a 2-month business in somewhere like that.
Okay, so we're getting near the end of the segment. And what I'd like to be able to do is I'd like for you to give your contact information again, and I'll tell you why. Those of you that are listening right now, if you're thinking about buying a home, not selling necessarily, because that's what we talked about in the first segment.
Right.
If you're thinking about buying a home, or maybe even investing in a second property, right? Keep in mind the property values, yes, they bounced up 30%, but they've not completely recovered, and now still a great time to be able to buy real estate because the rates are still low.
Right. We're still considered very undervalued in the Las Vegas market.
So if somebody's interested in looking at some of the better opportunities in the marketplace, how do they contact you?
So as we mentioned before, the best way is with my local cell number, which is 702-497-3730. Again, that's 702-497-3730. Go ahead, feel free, send me a text message. All you have to write is buyer.
When we get back from break, I'd like to be able to drill down a little bit more on that down payment assistance stuff, because that's pretty big stuff. I mean, we used to have some of those programs about 8 years ago in San Diego, and most of them went away. And I didn't know that they were still here in Las Vegas. By the way, because of my lack of knowledge, that's why I can't do a radio show here in
That's what I'm here
from
for.
San Diego in here, because you know the local market, right? And so you know the available programs and so forth. So Lianna, please take us to break, and please stick around, because more important than down payment assistance program, I'm going to share with you an important concept called the cost basis of real estate.
Okay, so we will be right back with the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge. Stay tuned.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. For more information, visit LiannaAlvarezShow.com. That's Lianna with 2 N's, AlvarezShow.com.
Hi, Lianna Alvarez here, host of the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge. I'm thrilled that I get to speak with you every week and bring you the truth about your local real estate market. A lot of the stuff you hear in the news is based on national numbers and really doesn't mean much to us here in Las Vegas. If you want the insider knowledge about what's going on in our real estate market, that's what I'm here for. Give me a call at 702-497-3730 or a text message. That's 702-497-3730. Whether you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or even refinance your home, I can help you make an educated decision about what's going to be best for you and your family. It's easy. I give you the real facts. You decide what to do from there. Just give me a call. I'm here to help. That's 702-497-3730. Or visit us online at LiannaAlvarezShow.com. That's Lianna with 2 N's, AlvarezShow.com.
You're listening to the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, the Insider's Edge, with local expert Lianna Alvarez. Now, here's Lianna.
Hello, everybody that's listening. Thank you for staying tuned. We, again, have Ron Quintero, who is the CEO of the Real Estate Radio Network, joining me today live in studio. Ron, thank you so much for being here. Yep. We've been getting some great information, I think, out to the listeners.
Well, I want to be able to drill down on a couple points that we talked about in the last segment. But before we do that, you're getting married. And in the first segment,
in the future,
you just got engaged.
Yes, it's been 2 weeks.
Still can't believe you're available and on the market. If I've not been married for 30 years, I'd pursue you like nobody's business. But I met Michael.
Yes,
your fiance last night, and What an amazing background.
Yes, he has a very interesting, diverse background for sure.
And he's a manager of your office, and I believe your office is one of the larger offices in all of Nevada?
Yes. So he was brought back to Prudential. He actually had left Prudential for a while and then was recruited back by the corporate office, and originally was at the Green Valley office. We have 5 offices now throughout the valley. Wow. Over 1,000 agents. And at my office specifically, we have about 200 agents.
Wow. You know, when I met him last night, first of all, my wife and I were talking about this afterwards when we got dropped back off at the
Aria.
Aria, yeah, that's right. And we said, who does he remind us of? And I go, that's real easy. The actor Chaz Palminteri.
I don't even know who that is.
There's a movie called The Bronx Tale.
The cartoon?
No. You know what? I'm going to show you. I'm going to Google him.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, slim guy.
Yeah.
He's in great shape.
Absolutely.
Well groomed.
Yeah.
Speaks so articulate, and
he's a great speaker.
And he's got that New York accent still, just a hair of it.
Yeah, it comes out every now and then. You're like, where did that come from?
You know, when I was talking with him last night, and he talked about his duties and responsibilities, what he does with the office.
Yeah.
What a big heart in terms of, you know, he mentioned that he does role playing and goal setting and reminders in the way of affirmations. And I was just sitting back watching him, and I'm like, you know what? He's not developing his own career. He's developing other people's.
He definitely, I feel, brought a certain air to the office that he really does care and is there for every individual agent. And with there being that many agents, it's rather difficult. So I always tease him, he doesn't have to worry about me. I kind of do my thing. And then, but really a benefit for, you know, so many agents are at different companies. And we really have the benefit of true support and training and education and really business development for all of us individually.
Well, I enjoyed meeting him last night.
Thank you.
He was so well spoken. I was just mesmerized by his passion. And also, you know, we're not going to give his history on air, but just he's got some great experience.
Yep.
You know, the one thing I will mention, you know, came from part of it was the hotel industry.
Yeah.
Right.
Service industry. Yeah.
Service industry. So he's trained about customer service and all that. You know, before we went to break, we were talking about buyers, and you threw something out there that was not planned. Because this is not scripted radio.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. This is having a conversation and helping your listeners make informed decisions.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned a down payment assistance program, and I mentioned cost basis. But before we get into that, I think it's important to remind your listeners who they're listening to.
Absolutely. You are listening to the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge, here at KLAV 1230 AM Radio, the talk of Las Vegas. I'm your host, Lianna Alvarez, and we have Ron Quintero with us, the CEO of Real Estate Radio Network.
Well, you know, the Las Vegas marketplace is rapidly changing. And I mean, all of a sudden it could take off, and all of a sudden it's like somebody hit the brakes.
Yeah, we've had so much volatility, and it's had such different shifts that for us it's great because it's constantly changing, but it's really hard, I think, for consumers and homeowners out there to know whether they're looking to buy or sell, exactly what's going on and have a good feel about, you know, what's happening in the real estate market.
You know, before we went to break, we were talking about down payment assistance, and I mentioned cost basis. So I want you to spend a few minutes in educating and informing your listeners of the opportunities in this marketplace. There's some free money available that they don't have to give back, some that they do have to give back. Would you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So as we mentioned, we were talking about down payment assistance programs. Those are just basically typically for first-time home buyers. Generally, there's 2 main programs. One of them is you actually are gifted the funds. You have to qualify. You have to go to certain educational classes regarding home ownership and the importance and responsibility of it.
Budgeting and so forth.
Exactly.
Yeah, because how you budget as a renter is not how you budget a household that you own.
And they want to make sure that if they're gifting you any kind of funds, that you have that information and that education to make sure that you keep up the property and the mortgage. So there is one that's on that basis. And there's a second type of down payment assistance that, again, you have to qualify for. And it's basically almost like a secondary loan that you can use towards the property.
So I know that you're bringing on an expert contributor that's in the mortgage business.
Absolutely.
That can also help buyers, your listeners, with this information to know. I know there's some sticky qualification stuff around, who qualifies and who doesn't. There's some guidelines.
But that you don't know unless you try. And
Yeah.
so if you're a first-time home buyer and maybe you can't come up with, some additional funds, or you're looking for that extra help so that maybe you can use some of your cash for, some type of renovations after close of escrow, something like that, then this is something that you have to at least check into. And we are going to have somebody on, mortgage expert, who's going to be talking, who specializes in down payment assistance. So we can really help to inform and educate the listeners, and we'll have a show specifically on first-time home buyers.
Well, I want to talk about cost basis, and this is something that most home buyers don't understand. And this is important. I've been in the business for 32 years. What a cost basis is of real estate, it's how much do you really pay to that home over the life of ownership, right?
Yes, which can be a big shock.
Yeah, because most people don't know this, but if you borrow $200,000 to be able to buy a home, by the time you repay it, you've repaid about $550,000. You bought that house 2.5 times over, right?
Yes.
So the cost basis is what is the mortgage or interest payments that you're making on that property. And many times, a lot of people don't get this. The interest rate's more important than the price of the home.
Right.
Because if you buy at the right time, and I really do believe this is the right time, because rates
Absolutely.
are still low.
Yeah.
But eventually they're going to go up.
Right.
And anyone out there listening right now, if you're currently renting, and if you've thought about possibly buying a home, you may want to reach out to Lianna, go through a little bit of a consulting session with learning.
No obligation.
No
It's
obligation.
just to sit down so that then we can see if it actually makes sense.
You'll collaborate with your lender to
Absolutely.
make sure it's right.
Yep.
Before you take them out and show them and tease them with a bunch of homes that they can't have.
Right. And we don't want to waste anybody's time.
Yours included.
Absolutely.
And more important, more importantly, don't break the heart of a person that, with teasing them with stuff that they can't have.
Right. Because the other basis is you want to have that conversation with the lender to make sure that the property qualifies for the type of financing and that the time frame is there. You go out, you fall in love with the property, and the time frame doesn't work within the financing. Yeah, like you said, you've got broken hearts.
So anybody that's listening to the show right now, if you're thinking about doing something involving real estate, buying your first home, buying another property, by the way, those of you that are listening right now, I'm telling you right now, what's happened is the market has signaled we're starting to rebound, okay? And if you're thinking about doing something, Lianna, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, call or text message. Text message is always going to be the quickest response in case I am with those clients. 702-497-3730. Again, make sure you get your pins out. Write this down. 702-497-3730.
And be sure to save that number in your contacts list.
Yes.
As Lianna, and don't put Lianna Alvarez, just put Lianna Real Estate.
Yes. I code all my
Spell your
vendors
name
by
real
what
quick.
they do.
Me too. I have you as Lianna Las Vegas in my
There you go.
in my contacts list. So how do they spell Lianna real quick?
It's Lianna.
2 N's.
Yeah, it's a
See,
Spanish spelling.
I don't have it spelt right in my
I'm throwing
contacts
everybody
list.
off again with the Hispanic factor.
Yeah, you do. So listen, I hope that the information we're sharing with all of you right now is timely and relevant. I hope it's getting you to think. If you own a property right now, I think it's a great time to really think about investing in a second property.
Yeah.
Maybe a rental property.
Well, and I think the big basis that a lot of people don't even think about is, we often tend to not realize the opportunities that are out there. And that's really the basis for the show, is to help, inform and involve the listeners to have a better understanding of those financial opportunities that are out there. Because, the best thing is financial freedom.
So let me ask you a question. In San Diego, we started to see this, and we're getting up against the wall here with having to go to commercials to get the show paid for. And we've got some really important things to talk to you about in the next segment. So we're hoping that you're going to stick around.
Absolutely. Very important.
Real quick, what we're seeing in the San Diego market is home buyers re-engaging in the housing market that lost their property 4 and 5 years ago. Are you starting to see any of that here?
Yes, and the best thing is like any other real estate market, the lenders always realize what the market needs and they make those adjustments. So there are quite a few loan programs that have come out for those individuals that have done a foreclosure, have done a short sell.
Deed in lieu of, gave the property back.
That now are back on their feet and want to buy another property. So stick around. We're definitely going to have some very informative information just to kind of explore and expand on what we're talking about. So we will be right back after the break. You're listening to the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. For more information, visit LiannaAlvarezShow.com. That's Lianna with 2 N's, AlvarezShow.com.
The Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge, is hosted by local real estate expert Lianna Alvarez. The purpose of the show is to help consumers understand what's really going on in our local real estate market and offer financial advice from top professionals. We're teaching you the why and the how-to, so you'll always be one step ahead of everyone else. Whether you need to sell your home for top dollar, refinance and save money, or even buy a bargain in Las Vegas, Lianna Alvarez can help. Call Lianna directly at 702-497-3730. That's 702-497-3730. Take advantage of speaking with Lianna anytime you're entering a real estate transaction. Having someone who can answer all of your questions that truly cares about you and your family's best interest is priceless. Call Lianna and you'll be glad you did. 702-497-3730. That's 702-497-3730. Or you can visit LiannaAlvarezShow.com for more info.
You're listening to the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge, with local expert Lianna Alvarez. Now, here's Lianna.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back, and thank you again for sticking around during the break. You're listening to the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge. And joining me live in studio is Ron Quintero, who is the CEO and founder of the Real Estate Radio Network. Hi, Ron.
Hi, welcome back.
Welcome back.
And I want you to, going forward, I want you to open up your segments with a different opening.
What is that?
I want you to say, welcome back, lifers.
Oh, welcome back, lifers.
Because you're so passionate about it, right?
Yes, I'm always passionate about my clients.
Yeah, so, before we went to break, we were talking about some of the different professionals you want to bring on. But before we get to that, you're sharing with me during the break an example of one of your clients that you were able to help in a buying situation. Yeah. And I think it's always good to share real life stories.
So I often think I could probably write a book with different stories, each chapter being a different client story, whether they're, those wonderful win stories or just those odd experiences that we tend to often have out there, funny houses, especially when we had a bigger foreclosure market.
Well, if I have my way with you as a consultant and a coach, as I hope I will, I'm going to continue to encourage you to write that book. I bet it'd be just a winner. And it would be great. I think when a person hears a story and they could put themselves in the same shoes as a person that walked before them.
Right.
It helps them know and understand. So, I thought it was a cool story that we discussed during the break. Yeah. So please share it with your listeners real quick.
Absolutely. So I would love to say that this is the standard and it always happens. Not always the case, but I had a buyer. They currently live in a property. They wanted to move into a different neighborhood, very specific taste. And like so many other buyers at this time last year, the beginning of 2013, the house that they absolutely fell in love with got snagged up by a cash buyer.
Yeah, tough to compete with.
Very tough to compete with. And so what we did was we put that property on a property watch so that if there was any adjustment or anything, I would be immediately notified. And
Is there a service fee that you have to, or is that just a complimentary?
No, complimentary,
Wow.
just to keep an eye on it. Absolutely. If there's a specific house that you love. So we put this specific house on property watch and watched it. Kept looking at other houses. And of course, every house was always compared back to that original house and never.
That's amazing what happens sometimes
I
in a
know.
home buyer's mind. huh?
Yeah. And it just.
They get married to it.
Yeah. That was their house. Long story short, 10 months later, it was a short sale. 10 months later, that cash buyer that was supposedly stronger because they were cash backed out. I immediately saw that come on the market, called my clients, called the agent, got them into contract, and in the meantime, we're able to list their primary residence now and get it into contract within 3 or 4 days.
Wow. See, if you're listening to the show, gang, that's the importance of having a relationship with a full-time committed, not part-time, full-time committed real estate professional. And that's the importance of writing down Lianna's phone number, having it in your contacts list because you have a friend in the business in the Las Vegas market.
And just in case you didn't get it before, write this down. It's 702-497-3730. Again, 702-497-3730. And by the way, you're listening to the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge, here at KLAV 1230 AM Radio, the talk of Las Vegas. I'm your host, Lianna Alvarez. Join me every Sunday at 2 p.m. with local, up-to-the-minute, current real estate and financial information.
In a constantly changing market.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you a question, Lianna. What are some of the goals of your show? What, you've never done radio before.
No, I have not.
Okay.
If you can't tell by now.
I think you're doing a great job, but you basically reached out. Well, actually, we sought you out.
Yes, you guys did.
We did. You know what? We did background checks and we checked you out on LinkedIn and Facebook and all the places where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And we called a couple of people for references that you've done business with regarding your professionalism. And after pre-screening a little over 1,000 people, we reached out to about 100 people, of which we invited to a lunch.
Right.
At, I think Capital Grill, was it?
Yeah, we were at Capital Grill.
Yeah, very good restaurant, by the way.
Yes.
Love Capital Grill. And we presented this opportunity to a handful of people, and you're one of the people that stood up, raised your hand, and said, I really want to do this. I want to integrate radio into my real estate business. So what are some of the goals of your show?
Right. Well, for me being there, I just thought it was such a great opportunity for me not only to offer, my direct clients, my lifers, that support and information, to help them really establish their own financial freedom within their lives, but really to expand it out and to offer it to so many other people. As I mentioned before, I consider myself a native. I wasn't born here, but I came when I was 2. And
that pretty much makes you a native.
I'm a native, and and I'm local, and I wanted to offer, the listeners an opportunity to be informed, get involved and to inspire you with, kind of my insider local scoop and compassionate outlook regarding the real estate market so that you could have a better understanding of what financial options are out there, what's available to you in order to better your lives.
So I know right now you're in the process of interviewing several professional types because
Yes.
we were a little involved with helping you put together a show that you wanted to design around the professionals you want involved in your show going forward, exposing your listeners to the right professionals after pre-screening them, doing a lot of pre-screening for them. So tell us, Lianna, who are some of the professional types that you are currently interviewing to be able to bring on as future expert contributors to give guidance and information to your lifers?
Absolutely. So we have mortgage lenders, we're looking for estate planning attorneys, probate attorneys, bankruptcy attorneys, We're going to have additional...
Any financial planners?
We're going to have financial planners. I have one that I work with personally that's going to be coming on, but we definitely are looking for additional so that it's always good to have different points of view.
You know, one of my pet peeves, if you want to call it this, is that, most real estate agents, they get to a client, they get them involved in property, they get paid, and they go away.
Right.
I have been passionate about making sure that every person I ever got involved with a home, that they sit down with my life insurance agent, and I want them to have at minimum a term life insurance policy equal to the mortgage amount, that God forbid something happen in their life, that they're, the breadwinner dies of a heart attack. James Gandolfini, we saw that happen,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Tony Soprano, right? He was worth $70 million when he died, and because his estate planner, his attorney, totally screwed up, did not plan his estate right, when he died, he was worth $70 million. If it was done right, his estate would have had to pay somewhere between $3 to $5 million in taxes to the Fed and to the state. But because it was done wrong, his family was confronted with having to pay over $30 million in taxes to the Fed and to the state.
It does really make a difference on who you're using, and for somebody to have gone through it. I use these professionals. I'm going through life insurance right now.
Yeah.
I actually have my physical tomorrow.
Yeah. So think about this. If Tony Soprano was alive, he'd send out a hit on that attorney, I think.
Probably so. I think so. There'd be more going on.
You think? And the bad news is, do you think his estate had $30 million cash laying around?
Nope.
So guess what?
They had to go to local realtor and get those properties sold so that then they could
fire sold and had to unravel his entire life. That to me is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So I think it's sad. So who are maybe a couple of the other professionals that, by the way, if you're listening to the show right now, and if you are one of these professionals, send Lianna a text and let her know that you are one. And even if you're not one, but you know one, or you've used one of these professionals that she just mentioned, financial advisors. You mentioned bankruptcy attorneys.
Estate planning attorneys, property and casualty loss insurance individuals.
Please introduce them to Lianna, as she's currently interviewing professionals to be a part of her show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she would love to be able to reach out to them. What's the number that they could send a text to provide an introduction? Yeah,
go ahead and send a text of partner to 702-497-3730. Again, text partner to 702-497-3730.
Okay, next week, who are you having on air?
Next week is going to be a great show. Earlier in the show, in the different segments, we talked about the different opportunities that are out there for first-time home buyers, down payment assistance, investors, relocation. So I am going to have one of the top mortgage professionals, a lender, that's going to be here. She's been in the business for, I think, over 13 years, comes from a processing background. So for any of you that are out there, whether you've gone through the loan process or not, and you want to know those secrets, the backgrounds, why the banks ask all those questions, why they ask for all the explanations, she's going to be here not only to tell you what the opportunities are, but really give you the inside scoop on, underwriting and the basis for those loans and qualifying.
Wow. That's, what a great piggyback to this show.
Yeah.
We kind of educated and informed people regarding down payment assistance and some of the community awareness programs out there. But as we start to summarize the show, we threw out a lot of information today. In addition to that, you offered a lot of free services. You offered a text the word value to you for people that are owners of property, so they can find out their property value, right?
Yep, looking for a comparative market analysis.
You threw out the word partner that you'd love people to text.
Yeah, so that way then we can really, I'm always open to ideas and to additional individuals and those expert contributors coming on because, the more information we have, the more information we can get out to you. So we just want to make sure that everyone's going to listen in next week. We're going to have a very interesting, very informative show. And we could go on and on with this great information, but we're almost out of time. If you'd like to discuss anything related to today's topics with me directly, call me directly at 702-497-3730. I'd like to thank John Lindquist for producing a great show today. Obviously, Ron Quintero from Real Estate Radio Network, the CEO and founder, who's been a huge support with the show. Absolutely. That's it for today. And this is Lianna Alvarez for the Real Estate Radio Network. We'll be back here next Sunday. Very important to tune in next Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. on KLAV 1230 a.m., The Talk of Las Vegas. And remember, I'm native, I'm local, and I'm here for you with the Insider's Edge. Thank you.